All right, hi there everyone. I think today is going to be a super helpful video. I'm going to go over factoring by grouping, and lots of times in pre-calc 11 or just when people are factoring quadratic equations in general, or quadratic expressions, lots of times people struggle when there's a coefficient in front of the x squared. So let's say the question was 2x squared, right, plus 9x plus 10. People kind of freeze up because we can't just split this into two brackets anymore, right? Put x, x, and think of two numbers that multiply to 10 and add to 9. Doesn't work like that because this 2 in the coefficient is kind of throwing everything off. Okay, so factoring by grouping, it's a little longer, but I think it's a super easy way to factor this quadratic super quickly and efficiently, okay? So the first thing we do is we take the coefficient 2, right, and we multiply it by our c value, the last number, the constant 10. Okay, 2 times 10, that's 20. And this is kind of where it's similar to, or if there wasn't a coefficient, we think of two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 9. Okay, I'll just tell you that's going to be 5 and 4, right? Both positive because they add to positive 9. Okay, so now that we know that, we can rewrite it as 2x squared. And we take those numbers 5 and 4 and just put them as coefficients for x. Okay, so you'll notice that 5x plus 4x equals 9x. So we haven't changed the overall value of the equation. We just split up the 5 and the 4 for a reason I'll show you right now. Okay, and another thing, it doesn't matter the order you put the 5 and the 4 in, you'll find you'll get the same answer. Okay, so now it's called factoring by grouping, so we're going to group the first two numbers together, the first two terms, and the second two terms together. So this is group 1 and this is group 2. Okay, once you have those two terms grouped together, we take out their greatest common factor. Okay, so what's the greatest common factor of 2x squared and 5x? Well, it's just going to be 1x. So if we take out an x, we're left with 2x plus 5 inside. Okay, we got that plus sign here. Got to make sure it's the same. What's the greatest common factor of our second group? 4x and 10. Well, they both don't have an x, so we can't take out an x, but we can take out a 2 because they're both multiples of 2. So if we factor out a 2, we're left with just 2. Oh, we're left with just 2x plus 5. Okay, and anytime you're factoring by grouping, you'll notice that after you finish these first few steps, these brackets are always going to be the same. So this is going to be one of your brackets, 2x plus 5. Okay, and your other bracket is going to be the outsides, whatever you factored out. So x, and then we have this plus 2. So, and it's always going to work like this. People always say, well, what if these two brackets here aren't the same? Well, if they're not the same, then you did something wrong because they're always going to be the same. And it's a super reliable way of factoring quadratic expressions or equations when there's a coefficient in front of the x squared. Okay, and sometimes like you can kind of do some guess and check, like you can do 2x and x and just put in numbers that multiply to 10 and you can put like plus plus and maybe it'll work out if you expand it, right? That's what lots of people do when this coefficient is really small. But if this wasn't a 2, maybe it was a um, maybe it was a 15, then you're going to really run into some trouble when you try and factor and guess and check. So factoring by grouping is really, really efficient, and I think it's honestly the best way to factor expressions like this. In another video, I'm going to show you how to do factoring using the box method. I think it's pretty similar. I just like factoring by grouping a little more. Okay, and if you're ever not sure if you're right, after you have your expression or your equation factored, you can always expand out. You can do the rainbow method, right, to expand your two brackets. So if we have 2x, we multiply it by x, we get 2x squared, right? We have 5, we multiply by x, we get 5x. We have 2x, we multiply by 2, we get 4x. And we have 5, we multiply by 2, we get 10. And if we combine these together, we get 2x squared plus 9x plus 10. And that is, in fact, exactly what we started with, so we know that we factored correctly. If you expand and get a different answer, then you know you went wrong somewhere in your process there. So I'll see you in my next video on factoring using the box method, and hopefully this helped.